So in terms of what is divine or what is ultimate reality, as I'm calling it, so again, when we're studying comparative religion, when we're studying different religious traditions across the span of time in the world, the tendency for early scholars in the West was to impose their own sort of framework onto other religious traditions. So they sort of assumed that other traditions had something equivalent to a monotheistic God, a creator deity who's all-powerful, all-knowing, and so forth. So that's a problem when you're imposing a particular category. So the challenge for scholars who are studying different traditions is how do we define this category in a way that is not reducing it to our own sort of version of it. So for some scholars, it was, the category of the sacred or the category of the divine. So that became a category that, we could look at Buddhism or Taoism or Hinduism and see something that seems to look like what we're referring to when we talk about God. It's not the same thing, but it seems to be at least getting at what is in essence that sort of. I chose to use the ultimate or ultimate reality, the sacred and divine, and I included the divine in the title just because that's something more familiar. I mean, the ultimate reality quest would not have sort of made much sense for a lot of readers. But the divine is something familiar as this sort of broader category that crosses different religious traditions. But I ultimately came to this idea of ultimate reality because even in traditions like Buddhism, to call what they might think of as ultimate, and as you note in the book, that could be a variety of different things, is not necessarily what we think of as the divine, is something separate from the profane. The Buddhists don't necessarily think that way. So ultimate reality seemed to be a category that was more inclusive, but actually sort of gets across this idea that we're talking about something that seems to be in different traditions, but they're calling it different things or they're characterizing it in different ways.